Thank you. It is an absolute joy to be here. The day is getting better and better and better. There's a few things I'd like to talk about. One is I want to take, on a personal level, my feelings of financial remuneration that are spinning here to spinning way up here. And my involvement with Abraham came from a place of, this is vital, and I don't care how I'm going to pay for it. The money will come. And every time I acted on that, things were miraculous. By trade, I'm a lineman, and I like what I do. I like putting people, empowering people after some kind of calamity and things of that nature. And I hail from Pennsylvania, and after the Asheville, which was vital that I go, 2 weeks later, Hurricane Sandy came. And I worked 16 12-hour days significantly, which allowed me then to also book a 2-week cruise in the Mediterranean. And it's miraculous how the things happen. And I know I'm a greedy bugger, and I know that. So I just kept focusing on being here, because April 10th was a magnificent day for me at one point in my life, and it still is. But that was then, and today is now. And I'm learning to live in the now a whole lot more. And it's just miraculous. But where I want to spin from is I want to have the money available physically prior to choice. Then coming from that place of, I just know it's going to be there. And I know it probably doesn't matter one way or the other, but it would be more comforting for me to be spinning up here with a big fat bank account saying, yes, I want to go on the next cruise, and I'm just here's my credit card, Ron, just keep it there, and whenever it comes up, put me down for it, because I'm going to be there. And the contrast of which I arrived this weekend, the staff and everybody else in the hotel and everybody, all the collective components, brought me from the contrast and the people that are aware of it to where I am now. It's the momentum is so powerful. So I am being the greedy bugger that I am. I want to go from here financially to here up here real quick. And you were mentioning that yesterday, and if you could please take me there, or give me that feeling that I can remember so much, and taste and touch and just drool over, in a sense. So I know what it's like when I'm there, because I haven't allowed myself to be there. So I want to allow myself to be there.
Would you all say that what we are experiencing just now is a step 1 moment or a step 3 moment? In other words, he's asking in a very strong way, shoring it up with all kinds of vivid examples. You felt the emotion of it as he was speaking it. The emotion of it was here and here a bit, but more here. In other words, on the subject that he was specifically wanting to talk about. He knows that his vibration is there. He's even stating that his vibration is there. You know that that's where you are. So the question that we have for you is, do you believe that in a short framework of time that your vibration could should move from here to here on any subject?
Yes.
We're just scoping you out. But what about the subject of momentum? What about all that you said to us about how uncomfortable it is? You were using positive sounding words, and you really got the group revved up too. You're using positive sounding words as you were adding momentum to that feeling of strain and struggle, as you were adding momentum to that feeling of determination. So we have a question for you. Is the feeling of determination, where is it? Is it here or here? Determination. I'm going to make it happen. Now, you said in a softer way, I believe it could be different, but that was not the dominant part of this conversation. This is more where you are. What we want you to do is make peace with that, because there's a much greater probability of moving quickly or quicker from where you are to where you want to be vibrationally if you are sort of making peace with it. So we want to ask you, the conversation that you offered to us, what was it more suited to? This or this? Now, we want you all to think about that, because he was talking about things that he wanted, and everyone understands it. But what kind of momentum were those words adding to? That's why we ask, is it a step 1 or a step 3 moment? Because step 1 moments are just fine. They're part of the equation. And it surely doesn't hurt to have a step 1 moment. But you've had enough step 1 moments to last you for 20 or 30 lifetimes. You've built a veritable fortune. All of that you're talking about, that vibrational credit that you're now wanting to spend, you've got it. You've got it in spades. It's beyond our ability to describe the revenue that is available to you. But this conversation doesn't get it for you. In other words, you can't keep having, hear this, oh, so good. You can't keep having step 1 moment, step 1 moment, step 1 moment, step 1 moment, step 1 moments, and get to where you want to be. So now let's talk about this in this vibrational scale that we're talking about. Isn't the better you feel, and therefore the higher the disc is that you're spinning on, isn't it more and more and more and more and more and more allowing and less resisting? And so the more you are moving up this emotional scale, the more step 3ing you are doing. So doesn't that feel logical? Doesn't it make it easier for you to understand that your work is the allowing part, the allowing part? So couldn't you say to yourself, what could I say now that is more allowing in the equation? We know that you get the difference between step 1 and step 3. You've been listening to us long enough. You're tired of the analogy. We know you get the difference. So what would step 3, reaching for step 3 statements, sound like? What would they sound like? What kind of words? What kind of sentences? What kind of visualization? What are allowing statements? Now, this is really a good exercise, because we're using all of the terminology that you are familiar with. We're integrating it into this new analogy that's really an easy one for you to follow. You're understanding it's your point of attraction, and now it just helps you to focus more into more step 3 conversation. So just make an effort. It doesn't matter how it comes out. Make an effort to make more allowing statements around this subject that you so brilliantly presented to us here.
I now have financial abundance in my physical, let's see, I'm struggling. My physical proximity that are available.
So we know that that's what you think we were asking you to do.
Yeah, see, I'm
lie.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But that really wasn't so much what we were reaching for. And that's the distinction that we were making when we asked, can you move from this spinning disc to this one? And you said, and a few others did too, yes. But when you think you can, then you go about it in the way that our friend was describing that he had been doing. You try to make it happen. You try to make yourself allow it. And we're wanting you to just naturally allow it, because you have it in you right now to just naturally allow that movement. Did anyone follow that? Yes. It's like, rather than saying, I've got it, I know it, I'll have it, I can do it, which doesn't move you at all, because you're saying it from a place of not believing it. So all it does is just practice that vibration longer. We're wanting you to think in terms of allowing statements. We've been telling you all day today and yesterday, and we'll tell you every day that you listen to us, that we're not...
It's the other side.
Get a picture of her. was a step 3 moment. Completely off the subject, because step 1 has already been done. Step 2 has already been done. So off the subject altogether, up you go. So it's that momentum that you want to perpetuate. That's why we'll give you the answer to our question. No, you cannot wrestle a question into a higher vibration. You just can't do it. What you do is you look at the other aspects of your life where you're already feeling that way, and you practice the vibration of that with people like that until that vibration just shifts. And as that vibration shifts, it's like we talk about seeing your world through the eyes of Source. And now we're saying you're seeing your world through the eyes of whatever vibration you got going on. You are seeing your world. You are speaking your world. You are affirming your world. You are adding momentum to your world from that. And so we just want you to be aware of where you're standing and just ask yourself, from this platform, do I want to add more momentum? So where does that leave you? Do you think that what we're saying to you is, unless you're pretty sure that you're in those higher vibrations, not to add momentum? Do you think that's what we're saying? That's what we're saying.
So can we talk about orgasms then?
Later. We really want to stay on this train of thought for just a little bit. In other words, do you accept that there is momentum wherever you stand?
Yes.
And do you accept that your momentum has a vibrational frequency?
Yes.
A sort of range of momentum that's going on. And do you accept that everything that's coming back to you is reflecting to you what that range of momentum is? Do you accept that your range of momentum can move upward? Does it need to move upward suddenly, or is gradually all right?
Yes.
So now that we're talking about momentum, do you think that there's enough variety in your life? In other words, you were here, you witnessed that. That jumped right into the experience of this collective consciousness. And you have, as life is doing all around you all the time, there's a plethora of variety around you. So if you are reaching for the highest vibration that you can find from wherever you are, does it make sense to you that establishing the vibration matters, hear this, more than the subject that you're focused on?
Yes.
So when you have a problem, which is the subject that you want to focus on, don't you want to ask yourself, is this the subject to which I want to add momentum? Do you ever want to add momentum to the problem?
No.
So the only question worth asking is, have I collected enough data to ask this question? Stay with us. Oh, feel that. Have I collected enough data to ask this question? Have
Yes.
you? Then stop it. Then stop adding momentum. You've already collected enough data to this question. This question has been asked and answered. This question has been asked and answered. You've asked and it's been answered. Now you just got to find a way to allow it. And is the best way to allow it by talking about money? No! That's the last subject that you want to focus on. That's the last subject. That's the most unlikely way to where you want to be of all the subjects that are possible. That was really good. Now get out. Are you satisfied?
What's that? I did have one other question, if possible.
Let's leave it there. That's so good. Let's leave it right there. Let's just leave it right there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.